A girl spacing out on the subway is absolutely horrified to discover that someone on the train is actually cosplaying Megan. She assumes it is just a Halloween party, and Megan is merely there as part of the hype crew. But right as she is trash-talking this look, Megan suddenly starts busting out dance moves.
Dance out.
Today, we are diving into the 6th installment of the Scary Movie franchise, which raked in a whopping $130 million in its opening week, locking down the number 5 spot in the North American summer box office. So, the big question is whether this sequel can live up to the legendary glory of its predecessors. Late at night, inside a bar, Tayana is chilling and unwinding. Right in the middle of her drink, an online buddy hits her up with a phone call. The internet friend wants to meet Tayana in the alley behind the bar, and without thinking twice, she turns around and leaves the venue. But the moment she steps into the alley, a figure rocking a Ghostface mask creeps up right behind her. Staring at the young and beautiful Tayana, Ghostface sports a smug and arrogant expression. Just like that, Ghostface gets beaten completely unrecognizable. Watching these scenes unfold on screen, a girl named Tuesday and her bestie start trash-talking this absolute trash movie called Scary Movie. Right in the middle of her rant, the doorbell suddenly rings. Assuming the food delivery is here, she walks to the door with her guard completely down. The scene cuts to an amusement park, where Sarah gets a call from her mother, Cindy, breaking the news about Tuesday's encounter with Ghostface. However, upon learning that her sister is targeted by the Ghostface unaliver, Sarah simply assumes Tuesday ticked someone off, considering her bizarre temper and her downright weird pet. But Cindy still reminds Sarah that she absolutely must watch her back. Before Sarah can even finish her sentence, a dark shadow darts out right next to her. Seeing that the person on the ground is her boyfriend, Jack, Sarah looks completely speechless. It turns out Halloween is right around the corner, and Jack is planning to dress up as Ghostface. Although she gets a little jump-scared, Sarah doesn't think much of it. Afterward, she and her boyfriend drive away from the amusement park, planning to check in on her mother first to see what is going on. Right as they drive off, a little boy arrives at the entrance of the amusement park. Looking at the lucky coin in his hand, the boy happily makes a wish. The camera cuts to a cottage completely surrounded by fences. This is the apartment of Sarah's mother, Cindy. To dodge the attacks of the Ghostface unaliver, Cindy has not stepped foot outside for 20 years, and her door is even secured with 10 separate locks. Being ultra cautious has successfully kept Cindy safe and sound all the way to the age of 54. As long as she safely survives past midnight tonight, she will officially turn 55. And word on the street is that once a target passes 55, Ghostface automatically gives up the hunt, because the target is officially retired and needs to enjoy retirement life. Sarah wants to team up with her mother to fight Ghostface, but since Cindy is right on the verge of breaking the curse, she has zero desire to get dragged back into the hunting game. On top of that, Cindy does not believe her daughter can defeat Ghostface anyway, because Sarah has been missing a few screws since childhood, making any collaboration with her a total suicide mission. Facing her mother's mockery, Sarah refuses to back down, and the mother-daughter duo starts a massive shouting match inside the house. Even though Cindy wants no part in this mess, she still offers to help out. To prevent Ghostface from hunting them down, Cindy has stockpiled tons of ammunition at home, and since she won't need them after midnight anyway, she plans to hand these weapons over to Sarah. In the end, Cindy still fails to escape the curse of Ghostface. Meanwhile at school, the reappearance of Ghostface catches the attention of Day and the gang, who gather around to brainstorm a counter-strategy. Jess pulls out pepper spray and chili water, firmly believing that with these items, taking down Ghostface will be an absolute walk in the park. Looking at the naive Jess, Elle gives a look of pure disdain as she pulls out a downright bizarre weapon. While everyone is discussing their game plan, Shorty strolls over from not too far away. Upon learning that Ghostface has returned, Shorty feels a bit guilty, believing that Ghostface must be here to punish him because he is currently pushing a two boys plan to turn every male in the world into married couples. Staring at Shorty beside them, his crew looks completely helpless, and refusing to get tangled up in his nonsense, they all turn around and leave the spot. Meanwhile, Sarah arrives at the hospital to visit Tuesday and ask about the situation with Ghostface. But the second she steps into the hospital room, Sarah notices Tuesday's painkillers, rips the needle right out of Tuesday's arm and stabs it into herself. The instant the fluid is injected into her body, Sarah experiences an unprecedented wave of comfort. Afterward, Sarah breaks the news to Tuesday about their mother's passing. She plans to organize a grand funeral for her mother and invite all the high-profile VIPs, guaranteeing that Ghostface will definitely show up. As long as Ghostface shows up, they can figure out a way to take him out. But in her excitement, Sarah fails to notice that she is stepping right on the controls for Tuesday's hospital bed lift. Fortunately, the hospital nurse is incredibly fierce, and after a round of wild pounding from Nurse Ratched, Tuesday successfully knocks out cold. Afterward, Sarah heads to the restroom to cool off, only to receive a mysterious phone call at that exact moment. Right in the middle of her call, Ghostface creeps up directly behind her. Luckily, Sarah has lightning-fast reflexes, successfully dodging Ghostface's dagger by faking a slip. In a panic, Sarah rushes to the nurse's station for help, but it happens to be lunch break, and the nurses are way too busy eating to extend a helping hand. Sarah is left with no choice but to play cat and mouse with Ghostface all by herself. Just as Sarah is about to be finished off, the lunch break conveniently ends. Looking at the knocked-out Ghostface, Sarah quickly flees the hospital. Right in the car, she notices a bruise on her boyfriend Jack's head. Facing Sarah's questioning, Jack claims he just went to peep on the nurses taking a shower, only to find out that the hospital nurses all sport an 8-pack. Sarah doesn't pay it much mind either and takes Jack over to her stepfather Doofy's house. But before stepping inside, they are required to undergo a quick health inspection. Only after confirming they don't have the flu does Doofy finally bring them into the house. Sarah explains the whole situation about being hunted down by Ghostface, wanting Doofy to help out. But relying on just them is no match for Ghostface, so they track down DEI and the rest of the gang. Right as everyone is discussing what to do, the supposedly deceased Cindy suddenly shows up here. It turns out Cindy isn't dead at all and was just fooling Sarah earlier. But as they keep chatting, their focus shifts entirely onto a partisan political debate. Cindy supports the Republicans, while Brenda backs the Democrats, and disagreeing on the spot, they immediately start a massive argument. Seeing the scene get more and more chaotic, Brenda pulls out a weapon, and as luck would have it, her nephew happens to walk past and is unfortunately struck by the shot. Looking at her nephew on the ground, Brenda is heartbroken, so she and Cindy dig a hole in the backyard and toss him right inside. Having experienced the pain of losing a loved one, Brenda decides to drop the political dispute and team up with Cindy first. DEI thinks of a horror movie called I Know What You Did Last Summer, realizing Ghostface is adopting a requel strategy to bring back legacy characters while introducing new ones, which means all the original cast members are in grave danger. Hearing DEI's analysis, everyone turns their eyes towards Sarah in unison. Facing everyone's suspicion, Sarah looks totally helpless and tries to explain herself, but everyone firmly believes she is the Ghostface unaliver. Left with no choice, a frustrated Sarah has no option but to leave DEI's house in anger. And while everyone is busy speculating who Ghostface is, Ghostface also kicks off his cleanup plan. The very first one to be targeted is Sheriff Greg. Heading home after work, Greg runs smack into Ghostface and gets instantly taken out with a single stab. After taking out Greg, Ghostface sets his sights on Jess next. Even though Jess installed plenty of security measures at home and even locked the door with 10 separate locks, Ghostface still effortlessly breaks into the house. The tragic news of Greg's family being unalived quickly alarms Sarah and the others. Sarah, Doofy, and the gang arrive at Greg's house, and before they can even step inside, the female reporter Gail also rushes to the scene. Spotting Doofy, Gail excitedly runs right over to him. Meanwhile, Shorty also catches wind of the sheriff's family incident, and feeling depressed, he also worries about becoming Ghostface's next target, heading outside to smoke a cigarette to clear his head. But right as his cigarette is lit, two men suddenly dash out from the nearby woods. Staring at the wild duo, Shorty seemingly figures things out, concluding that since he has survived for this long anyway, he refuses to believe he will be unalived. Returning home, Shorty plans to invite a few close bros over to throw a party. But the moment he steps inside, he catches sight of Ghostface, who has already appeared in his house. Surprisingly, Ghostface actually knows hypnosis, using a spoon to completely hypnotize Shorty.
I can't move. You're paralyzed. Now, sink into the chair. Wait. Sink.
when Shorty opens his eyes again, he finds himself back in bed, surrounded by several girls. Assuming the previous scene was just a dream, the light-hearted Shorty just lays back down. Meanwhile, Cindy also arrives at the hospital, wanting to visit her daughter Tuesday. But right as she passes by a patient room, she unexpectedly bumps into her ex-husband Bobby. Staring at Cindy, Bobby flashes a downright creepy smile. But Cindy clearly remembers that Bobby passed away a long time ago, so how could he possibly show up in a hospital? Thinking it must be Ghostface, she pulls out a dagger.
Stop smiling!
I can't. Botox.
Hey! Oh, this is the mental ward. Everyone smiles in here.
However, the moment Cindy turns around again, she discovers that her ex-husband on the ground has transformed into an entirely different person. Meanwhile, in the hospital room, thanks to the nurse's attentive care, Tuesday is successfully resuscitated once again. However, Tuesday is left with severe side effects, leaving her with no choice but to watch TV to pass the time. But right in the middle of her show, a suspicious noise comes from outside the door. Assuming Ghostface is making another appearance, Tuesday quietly creeps up to the door and grabs the telephone receiver off the wall. When the door swings open, Tuesday discovers that the visitor is actually Jack. Jack tries to explain that he is just passing through, but Tuesday notices he is wearing a pair of black gloves, which is clearly to avoid leaving any fingerprints behind. Realizing his cover is blown, Jack tries to make a direct move on her. But to everyone's surprise, another Ghostface suddenly pops up out of nowhere in the hallway. During the intense scuffle, Ghostface crashes into a nearby oxygen tank, instantly flooding the entire room with pure oxygen. Due to inhaling excessive oxygen, they all experience oxygen toxicity, bursting into uncontrollable fits of laughter. Taking advantage of this window, Tuesday bolts outside, but Ghostface is hot on her heels. Just as Tuesday is about to be finished off by Ghostface, Sarah and Doofy rush into the hallway just in time. Catching sight of people, Ghostface hastily flees the scene. Doofy tells Sarah to take the injured Jack and Tuesday away because he is going to challenge Ghostface to a one-on-one showdown to see who the ultimate Ghostface truly is. But the second he reaches the doorway, the unlucky Doofy gets instantly taken out by Ghostface. Having eliminated Doofy, Ghostface prepares to hunt down Sarah and the others, but Nurse Ratchet suddenly steps out from the side. Because Ghostface is busy cleaning up the scene, he misses the opportunity to give chase. Meanwhile, the carefree Shorty couldn't care less about Ghostface hunting him down. He is absolutely certain the director will cast him in the 7th installment, convinced he won't be unalived. He calls up a few close bros, getting ready to host a live stream at home. But right in the middle of their hangout, a Ghostface suddenly shows up on the scene. Shorty simply assumes this is one of his bros and starts playing games with Ghostface. Meanwhile, after a thorough investigation, the police finally pin down the true identity of Ghostface. They believe Ghostface is actually Shorthand, who just escaped from prison. But right during the arrest, another man is standing beside Shorthand, and they crowd around that man to deliver a wild beating. Learning that the police have locked onto Ghostface's identity, 49-year-old Gail assumes she can escape the hunt. Due to all the recent anxiety and fear, Gail feels like her skin has lost its elasticity, so she hits up a beauty clinic to give her face a little maintenance. Staring at the aging Gail, the doctor recommends the company's latest technology, claiming that with just a single injection, she can transform right back to being 18. Without thinking twice, Gail books an injection immediately. However, just as Gail is about to receive the shot, Ghostface breaks into the operating room. He dispatches the two doctors and gives Gail a booster shot instead. Before long, Gail's body reacts, making her feel as though there is an extra person growing inside her stomach. Before she can even process it, that entity bursts right out of her back. When Gail opens his eyes again, she realizes she has actually reverted to how she looked at 48 years old. Even though she finds the advertisement slightly misleading, at least she is a year younger. A joyful Gail gets ready to enjoy life, but Ghostface blindsides her from behind, taking her out with a single slash. Meanwhile, Day still has no clue Gail has been taken out, receiving a call from Shorty to head over to a Halloween gathering. But right on the subway, she spots a little girl dressed up as Megan staring directly at her. Day assumes the girl is just a Halloween cosplayer and even starts mocking her outfit. But out of nowhere, Megan struts over and lifts up her mask. Seeing Dee get stabbed, a nearby passenger complains that unaliving someone on the subway will ruin the floor, suggesting they take the act outside instead. But because the woman's tone is downright unpleasant, it sparks Dee's annoyance, causing her to lash out at the woman. Meanwhile, in the neighborhood, kids are celebrating the arrival of Halloween, rocking all sorts of costumes as they run wild through the community. Even though a few of their companions get knocked flying, it doesn't dampen the spirits of the joyful kids at all. To celebrate Halloween, Shorty hosts a wild party at his place, and friends flock over to join the celebration. Right in the middle of the party, Ghostface makes yet another appearance. But just as Ghostface is about to kick off his hunting spree, Shorty pulls out a canister of nitrous oxide. A delighted Ghostface completely forgets his original mission, actually playing the latest version of Final Destination with Shorty. While everyone is having a blast, Elle walks into the living room. Spotting Ghostface on the scene, she whips out her weapon. But instead of taking down Ghostface, she points the barrel right at the main cast members. It turns out Elle also wants to be the protagonist of the next movie, believing that as long as she eliminates Sarah and the crew, she can star in the sequel. The gunshots echoing through the house scare everyone into scattering in all directions. Right as Sarah is preparing to leave with her boyfriend, Cindy finally arrives fashionably late, pulling out her weapon to launch a counterattack. Cindy walks into the house alone, starting to sweep the entire place for Ghostface. But after hunting for ages and taking down dozens of people, Ghostface is still nowhere to be found, and she even accidentally wounds Jack. Right as Cindy is apologizing, Ghostface launches a surprise attack from behind. Ghostface is absolutely no match for Cindy, getting reverse eliminated instead. Just as Cindy prepares to wrap things up, another Ghostface charges out from the doorway. Cindy decisively fires her weapon to eliminate the Ghostface at the door, but turning around, she discovers the entire main hall is completely packed with Ghostfaces. Even though the Ghostfaces have overwhelming numbers, Cindy is completely fearless, picking up her gear to directly wipe out over a dozen of them. Seeing her mom act so incredibly brutal, Sarah also wants to pitch in and help. Right at that moment, a limping Jack walks down from upstairs. Sarah walks right up to him, only to end up getting stabbed by Jack. And the Ghostface standing nearby also lifts his mask, revealing his true face. It turns out Jack has been cheating on her with Elle for a long time, and they plan to join forces to eliminate Sarah so they could become the main leads of the 7th movie. But just when Jack thinks he has succeeded, a few more Ghostfaces pop up in the main hall, instantly taking down both Jack and Elle. And these 4 Ghostfaces are none other than Shorty
Anthony Anderson!
and his crew. It turns out Shorty already has a deal locked down with the director, agreeing that as long as they eliminate everyone in the 6th movie, the 7th installment will be their exclusive show. But right as Shaquille is celebrating finally becoming the main character, Shorty and Ray suddenly launch a surprise attack on him. It turns out Shaquille is a terrible movie director, and Shorty despises plagiarists the most, having zero interest in making a movie with him. Yet, after taking out Shaquille, Shorty still doesn't stop, teaming up with Ray to eliminate Anthony as well, leaving the movie with only 2 male leads. Staring at a joyful Shorty, Sarah and Tuesday find his logic completely sound, proposing to team up with him to become the female leads of the next sequel.
Or the old and then the beautiful. or the cute and the crusty. Yeah, or the sexy and then the seedy. We were brought in to take over the franchise. That's right. I mean, you guys are like 70 years old.
At the very end of the story, Brenda, Cindy, Shorty, and Ray leave the cottage together, declaring that absolutely nobody can snatch the copyright of the Scary Movie franchise from their hands. Just like that, the 6th installment of Scary Movie drops its curtains amidst a blazing fire. Overall, the movie is absolutely unhinged, with practically every single frame parodying another film. You've got to admit the director and screenwriters are pure geniuses to blend so many movies together. So, how many movie references can you guys catch in this film? Alright, that's all for today. See you guys in the next episode.